So what is an idol to us? What is a modern-looking idol? What should we leave behind? What does that look like to drop it? And so in an attempt to define idols, I have a few quotes that kind of help maybe frame this picture out a little bit better. John Piper says this: I think this is the biblical definition. As anything that we come to rely on for some blessing or help or guidance in the place of wholehearted reliance on the true and living God. And so John Piper's definition connects us back to the Old Testament, what the Old Testament definition is. He says it's anything that we try to find. And he kind of links this idea of gaining knowledge and gaining guidance or even superstitious things that can draw our trust away from God. Tim Keller defines it this way: anything more important to you than God, anything that absorbs your heart and imagination more than God, and anything you seek to give you what only God can give. Keller takes it a step further and also believes that it's anything that consumes our thoughts and our passions and our ideas. However, he does end in the same vein as an idol being something that takes the place of God in our lives. Billy Graham sums it up succinctly: an idol is any object that people worship. He takes and encompasses anything that takes our focus and desire away from God. He says money can do that, work can do that, social standing can do that, and he goes on and provides a really long list of what he sees there. However, there's one that's a little bit different than the rest. R.C. Sproul kind of reminds us here that an idol can even be a false view and a false understanding of who God is. A God who is all love, all grace, all mercy, no sovereignty, no justice, no holiness, and no wrath is an idol. Sproul also reminds us that an idol can be a false view of God, and usually a view of God that is far more encompassed on ourselves and what we think and what we want than what it actually is. And what happens is we begin to worship a glorified view of something that encompasses us rather than the God that's described in the Bible. And so to sum up these, I think a slightly non-nuanced definition is this: a person, place, or thing that draws our desire, worship, reliance, and trust away from God, the God of the Bible. Now, we could take a ton of time and unpack each of those as to what an idol may look like in our lives, but there's a reality: an idol can be anything. There's no shortage of things in your life an idol could be. There's no shortage of things in your life that idols can take. There's no shortage of things in our life that can take our focus, our desire, our trust away from God. And so there's really no way to encompass all of these things and to spend all of our time. And so in an effort to understand maybe if an idol has affected our life, or maybe pick out if there's something in my life that has become an idol, I have 4 questions that could help us do that. The first one is this: do I process all or most of my decisions through this thing? Now, we should talk to our spouses. We should examine other things. We should make wise decisions with wise counsel. But is there something or someone who is the basis for all of your decisions? Proverbs 3:6 tells us to acknowledge God in all of our ways. He should be the one our decisions run through. If all or most of your decisions go through one filter other than God, then that may very well be an idol in your life. The next question is this: what occupies most of your thoughts? Is there a singular thing in your life that takes up most of your thoughts? This could be anything from an object, an ideology, or a worldview. Joshua 1:8 tells us to dwell on God's word both day and night. If something in your life occupies most of or all of your thoughts, that very well may be an idol in your life. The next question is this: where does most of your money go? That's right, your kids are idols. I'm just kidding. Obviously, there's certain things we can't get around. Life is becoming more expensive. The Bible is clear, though, that where our treasure is, there our heart is also in Matthew 6:21. We know there's things we have to pay for. We know there's things we have to do. But is there something in your life that is taking up more of your money than it should? Is there something in your life that is taking up enough money that is a detriment to you and your family? If you are giving something in your life more money than you ought, to the detriment of yourself or to your family, that may very well be an idol in your life. The last question is this. Is something in your life affecting your view or understanding of God? This could be something that is distorting your view of God. If you have something in our lives that is constantly defaming Christ or constantly defaming God or teaching a false message or contradicting God, and we don't get rid of it, then that is very well an idol in your life. We find out in Matthew 6:22 that our eyes are the lamp of our bodies. What we see will affect our thoughts. If we have something in our life that is contradicting our worldview, contradicting Christ, contradicting the Bible, and we have not gotten rid of it, that is very well an idol in our lives. And so as we process those 4 questions, we need to think if there's something that has popped up in my head or something that has arrived or something I think, that may be a little more than what it ought to be. We should take some time and think about that and wonder about that and ponder that. We may not use physical idols anymore, but we definitely still have them in our lives. Idols did not die out in Genesis. We will always have things that will take our worship, our focus, our time, and our trust. And we can't give a full list of everything that might be, because it'll look different for everybody. But there will always be something in our lives that will be vying for that, pulling for that, and pushing for that. And there will always be something that will try to be allowed to be an idol, to become an idol to us. And so the application, again, removing idols from our lives gives us the ability to truly trust God. Idols can make trusting and relying on God difficult or even impossible. Once we have found the idols, it is now our job to get rid of them. Once we have found out what in our life may be an idol, we should get rid of them. We could either figuratively or literally bury it beneath a tree. However, if for some reason you can't get rid of it, for whatever reason that might be, we need to work to find ways to live with them without it becoming an idol. We need to set up accountability and boundaries with this object, thing, or idea, and see how much of it we can remove from our lives. We can seek help from others and should realize just how important it is to get idols out of our lives when we find them.